You're good to go, Mayor Harris.
Excellent, thank you.
You're on here. Oh.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to open the meeting for the regular council meeting Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. I'll call to order. We'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 region and the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our community. Okay, item 2.1, March 7th, 2023 agenda. We do have one change on the agenda, and we're going to strike item 4.2 Iron Landing Phase 5 subdivision from the agenda. Couple of reasons for that. There was some late information from the developer that wasn't received until this week, and it missed the agenda. And I felt that council needed all of the information to make a good decision. So we will reschedule them. If there are no questions or concerns with that, I would like to make a motion that the March 7th, 2023 agenda be accepted as amended to remove item 4.2 from the agenda. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Carried. Okay, item 5.1, Peace Officer Notebook Policy. Russ. Yeah, sure. We'll just pause for just 1 second. If everybody just wants to come on in,
Yeah.
grab a seat, grab a spot. Mayor Harris, we need to go back to 3.1.
On the camera so that the council.
Yes, I can. Okay, thank you for the reminder. You're welcome.
You're good.
Just you guys, just keep coming in along behind me here. Just don't shove me under my desk.
Don't block the fire. Okay.
Guys and girls, I apologize.
Guys is unison.
All right, are we good? Excellent. I'm gonna go back to hurry up then.
We're still signing.
Yeah.
We're just gonna need you to come this way, Tillman, because we need the TV screen. Thank you.
I'm used to having you. Okay, let's get this house in order here. Item 3.1, minutes. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes of February 21st, 2023, if there are no additions or changes?
I'll make the motion that we minutes from Mark or from be accepted as prepared.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item 5.1, Peace Officer Notebook Policy, Russ. Will you be speaking to that one?
I am. Are we gonna do 4.1 first?
We don't.
Sorry.
4.1 on our agenda.
Yes.
Motion list.
I thought maybe we'd make Ben wait a little bit.
Till the end of the meeting?
Maybe. Ben. It's a happy day. All right, our Ben Niven, Fire Chief, it's his retirement, and we just wanted to honor you tonight for your service and all you've done for the town of Crossfield. It's a lot of hard work, dedication, and time that you've spent. Thank you. So Ben, he started with the fire department in January 1998. Dedicated countless hours to the community day and night for 25 years. That's a lot of responsibility. He became chief in 2009, mentored and helped train numerous firefighters, as you guys can all attest to, over his tenure to help protect our community, several of whom were able to move up on to become career firefighters, professional departments. they probably would not be there without you or without the support of the rest of the department. That's great to see. He helped start the Christmas food hamper program, building it to what it is today. It's a great program. I know, Joe, you and your wife do a lot of work with it too, as do all the firefighters here. And it's a program that's greatly appreciated in Crossfield. And I hope that it keeps getting stronger and grows within our community for all the right reasons, not because people need help. Instrumental in the construction of the new fire hall and was able to develop and maintain great relationships with our neighbors and mutual aid partners. And congratulations on your retirement and 25 years of service to our community, Ben. We're really proud of you and the work that you've done. And we're also really happy for you that you can get on to the next phase of your life and maybe spend some more time with family. I know that's a big thing when you commit yourself to something as big as this. So I just had a little something for you from the town on behalf of council and administration. I'll come around.
Okay.
Photo,
Oh, maybe.
maybe you.
So first, it's a certificate of recognition.
We need to turn this way just a little for a photo op.
Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So fancy. Here we go. And Russ and Dean are getting you one of those.
Wow.
But it is on order and like everything else, it's taking some time to get here, but yeah. Well, we still want to know where you are. So that and I get started for you. And
Thank you.
Sure.
Man,
And then I'll just open the floor to any other council members that may want to say something to Ben.
can I,
Go
Do
right
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
can I actually use my time to ask Ben if he wants to say anything back to
Yeah.
everyone else?
Well, we'll do that. And then we'll get to
No,
Ben.
Just, I want to thank you for your time. I've only been in town for 14 years. But I know lots of people here. You've done a fantastic job. We've been lucky to have you this long, so thanks for your time.
Awesome.
through the chair as well. Thank you, Ben. I've gotten to know you and a lot of the guys on the fire department, and you guys do a lot of work. We're gonna miss you.
Counselor Gustafson, anything to say to Ben? You're gonna talk to the back of his head, but
Absolutely, through the chair, Ben, do solely, truly appreciate you, Ben, on so many fronts, even on a personal front, when my next door neighbor was having some issues, you guys, you and Trevor were right there to help her out, and without you, she probably wouldn't be around. And so thank you again, Ben, and wish you best of luck on your retirement.
Thank you.
excellent. Counselor Vang.
Yeah, like everybody else, it's just thank you for your years of service. It's tough. I know. It's not easy to walk away from. I know that too. So. Yes, thank you very much.
Counselor Brennan.
Howdy, Ben. Well, thank you for taking on this huge responsibility for 25 years. Like, there's not a lot of people that can say that they've taken on something this big for that long. It's only a few in this room that can say something like that. And especially taking on that responsibility for this long and fostering the fire department's growth into such a way that it is now. Something to be proud of. Thank you.
Excellent. Counselor Lambert.
I haven't known you very long, Ben. Thank you for visiting my house when I need you. Take up quilting. It helps. Thanks, Ben.
All right. And then I'm just going to give an opportunity to Sue and Russ to say just a little something, and then Ben will give you an opportunity to say something. Yeah.
Ben, on behalf of all the staff, I want to thank you for your years of service and your dedication. For myself personally, I haven't known you very long, but I've enjoyed all our conversations. On a personal level, I'm really going to miss you. You were an integral part of the team. You had lots to say. You brought lots of energy and humor to all of our meetings, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. I'm gonna miss being able to bend your ear a lot. Thank you for all your help you gave me moving into my new role in the emergency management stuff. And again, just big thank you for helping out the community for so long. Thank you.
Excellent, Ben. The floor is yours if you want it.
Give me that mic.
If you want, yeah. And that way people at home can hear you.
Put it this way. I just want to say thank you to everybody in the room. I've had the privilege of going through numerous councils, especially wearing the white hat and seeing how things change and as the town has grown and the addition and deletion of councillors throughout the years, but this group has definitely been there to support us through my time. I thank everybody that's in this room that has come out to say farewell, kick me out the door, whatever you want to say. But yeah, 25 years is a long time. I thank her probably the most.
Your wife has a name.
And of course, my mom.
Yes, moms rock.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, lots of stories, we talk about kind of getting going, and it was just simply my brother asking me if I wanted to come and join. And here I am, 25 years later. So, but thank you all, especially my team. It's not an easy thing, but thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, let's hear it for Ben. All right, thank you, Ben.
Thank you. All right, team. Let's go.
All right, we'll just wait just a second here.
That's okay. Well, you can't climb over. Russ. It's cold here.
It's 21 degrees.
No, no. Not on this side of the room.
Okay, I don't know if you guys were excited as me, but here finally we're at 5.1. Sorry about that. Yes, now I'm sure. So Russ, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Harris, and good evening, council. Yes, so administration has developed the attached policy 2023-05 peace officer notebook policy as a best practice for use, storage, and retention of notebooks used by peace officers employed by the town of Crossfield. The information and procedures within this policy follow industry practices as well as requirements of the provincial peace officer program. The policy identifies why notebooks are used, who can view them, how they are to be stored by peace officers, information to be included in the notebooks, what to do if a notebook is lost or damaged, where completed notebooks are to be stored, and for how long they will be retained. Once approved by council, this policy will be sent to and kept on file by the provincial peace officer program. This policy has been developed to formalize processes that the town of Crossfield peace officers have already been following. It is recommended by the peace officer program as a best practice to have this policy in place. Therefore, administration recommends that council approve policy 2023-05 peace officer notebook policy as presented.
Excellent. Thanks, Russ. Questions for Russ?
The chair.
Go ahead, Councilor Knight.
Yes, I know it talks in a bit about and then this, I understand the notebook thing. Do we have any policies tied to the body cam footage, or how does that work? Was that a different policy that we need, or is that?
There is a policy in place for that already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks.
That's great. I had a question along the same lines. How long for the body cam one? How long do you have to keep the footage?
Oh, that's a very good question. I will have to get back to you on that.
And is that in the policy? Thank you, Meryl.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Yeah, that's no
I
problem.
can confirm the length of time.
Excellent. No, we haven't had a notebook policy before. This is our first one.
Correct.
Excellent. Anyone else? Questions? Yeah, Councillor Brennan?
So this process has already been kind of running on its own, but is that like standard practice for peace officers? Just they
Yes.
regulate that themselves?
Yeah, it's prescribed through they've got a peace officer manual.
Oh,
Is that the right word for it? Sorry,
Fair
there's a peace officer manual and all that. So that kind of prescribes. So this just formalizes it all into our own policy.
Right. Okay.
And I think part of that, or that manual and some of the stuff is legislated not by us, but by the province, right?
Correct.
And I'm assuming that some of this is in there, but we're just,
Having it at our fingertips.
which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Anyone else?
My questions were answered.
Okay, great. If there are no further questions, can somebody make a motion on 5.1, please?
I'll make the motion. To the chair. I move that the peace officer notebook policy 2023-05 be accepted as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Excellent. Item 6.1, offsite levy bylaw 2023-08. I believe Jarek and Merrill are here.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. Would you like me to read?
Just give
Would
us
you
some
like me to read?
highlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just a bit of background. The current offsite levy bylaw dates back to 2010. Review of this bylaw was needed to first update the outdated document and further to ensure that industry costs for development are comparable to today's pricing and that levies collected from new development will support future infrastructure requirements. So currently the town has engaged in consultation with the town's contracted engineering firm, MPE, to review and define existing and future infrastructure requirements of the municipality with respect to circumstances of the municipality and the benefits of development. Through consultation with MPE and review with legal counsel, we respectfully have prepared the bylaw and the offsite levies background document for council's consideration. The attachments will outline first within the bylaw all legislated requirements as outlined within the Municipal Government Act, and secondly, outline defined future projects and rates within the offsite levies background report. Should council provide first reading to the bylaw, staff will share the bylaw and background document with community developers for their review and input. 2 open houses will be held, and we're suggesting March 16th and 23rd of this month. Following the open houses, staff will return the document and summary of comments for council's review prior to second and third reading. Our recommendation, along with MPE and legal counsel, is that the proposed bylaw, sorry, just a minute, lost myself here. So we've reviewed the proposed bylaw closely to ensure that the alignment is within the Municipal Government Act and that we've achieved and that future infrastructure projects have been considered, and therefore staff recommend that bylaw 2023-03 be given first reading and that 2 open houses be held open to the public for consultation purposes. And Derek Veldman is here from MPE should you have any questions.
Okay, let's open the floor for questions for either Merrill or Derek.
To the chair.
Go ahead, Councillor Knight.
I just want a clarification. So in the review of the levy rates, it'll be reviewed every 3 years. But the ability to adjust the rates by December 31st of the previous year, is that correct?
I think the
Reading.
wording within the bylaw is it may be reviewed every 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. But I think that's the goal, is that it will be reviewed every 3 years, just because we saw quite a gap from 2010.
But the ability to adjust the rates December 31st of the non-reviewed year with the annual percentage change for the 12-month year based on getting that sounds correct then? So the rate could change then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yep. Okay. Councillor Gustafson, go ahead.
Through the chair. My question was on the rates. Are they very similar to our neighboring municipalities as well?
Good evening, Council, Mayor Harris. In looking at the neighboring communities, it varies significantly. Crossfield would have been by the 2010 numbers at the lower end of a lot of the rates. I think I don't have them all off the top of my head, but I believe this puts us essentially middle of the pack.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
I do have a question, but it's not pertaining to the bylaw. Would you like me to ask it now?
It's pertaining to the offsite levies.
Yes.
But the next piece.
Yes.
No, if it's for the next piece,
Through
I
the
think
chair.
that's fine. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor
Um,
Lambert.
I saw in your information, your background information, that we covered water, sewer, and roads, but I didn't see anything in there for recreation. We're not anticipating that we're going to need any new recreational facilities or additions to our existing once our population gets higher.
If I may. It is my understanding that the assessment of your recreational needs is ongoing. That being the case, then within anything we do as far as offsite levies go, very specific identifiable projects must be identified. It's very puts you into a very gray area as far as the legislation goes to gather monies that are not able to be directed towards quite a specific project. So my thinking would be in this regard, and I understand that there are other facilities and other types of projects that we might want to consider in the future. The suggestion would be that before the 3-year update, then we have either studies, reports, or technical memos recommending this infrastructure that we can put then and include in support of the same.
Okay, thanks,
Makes
Stuart.
sense.
Yeah, Sue, go ahead.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mayor Harris. Just to add to that, if Council may recall, administration and the council reps on the rec board still have some work to do in terms of prioritizing the projects that were identified in the needs assessment. That hasn't taken place yet. Once that is, and the priorities are approved by council as a collective whole, then we can start putting numbers to projects when we know which projects will be the priorities moving forward. So until we have that information, it's been highly recommended that we don't include recreation levies at this point, but we can add them, as Derek said, at a bit of a later date.
Sue, does that tie back to our conversation with what Okotoks is doing for their recreational levies?
Yes, and we
Yeah.
have done some homework on that, and I'll have a follow-up conversation with you at our next meeting.
Okay, no, that sounds great. I think that Councillor Canelson or Councillor Fox, if you wanted to ask your question about the offsite levies, now probably is a good time because
Okay,
it's the background information I think that you're looking at,
okay.
which
yeah.
would pertain to the bylaw. So
Yes, okay,
Yeah, go
thank
ahead.
you. Meryl, I was just kind of curious as to how we stand now on collecting the outstanding levies that we had.
As far as I'm aware, we are status quo with collecting all of the levies that remain outstanding with the exception of one developer. And that one has been sent to collections. But
Okay.
all other development is either scheduled for remittance or it's diarized for future remittance.
Okay, excellent. Any more questions? Okay, I just wanted to talk about in the background information, we talk about 3% interest rate. We know that costs have risen quite a bit more than 3%. I'm just curious if we're doing ourselves any favors by only having 3% in there or if that should be a higher rate.
as far as it goes, the setting of an interest rate, and I think it's worth noting that the 2010 document, and it isn't that uncommon that offsite levies don't include an interest calculation projecting out into the future. That was the subject of no small amount of conversation, both with administration here and within our office. As things stand, I believe the last time I looked it up, we were roughly at 6% right now, projected inflation. When I started writing this report, it was around 8. So even within that timeline, it's fluctuated quite a bit. I don't know what interest is likely to do, but I landed on 3% as a recommendation because that is currently the highest inflation that the Bank of Canada is including in their target inflation. So until they publish new data, it's my understanding that the Bank of Canada wants to bring it back between 1 and 3. I picked the high side at that point. I think we can, if the desire is to choose higher numbers, I think that's absolutely doable. But over the very long term, we're looking at a 25-year horizon here. That has a massive impact on what those final numbers are going to be. And I don't. The thinking was if we stuck at that highest 3%, that is very defendable and justifiable to anybody. And choosing one of those higher percentages when the current rate is fluctuating so chaotically, I guess, that would be more open to challenge. So that was my logic in choosing 3%.
Excellent and good answer. Derek, this one might be for you too. And I know that, so what are, before the change tonight, what was our current percentage for offsite levies? Do we, like, I know you calculate it by population. In your notes, you had a formula there for population and whatnot. But out of a build, like say for whichever development, is it based also on a percentage of the construction value for that area? And what percentage would that be? And compared to what the percentage we rose it to in this bylaw, if that makes sense to you.
I think it does. I'll try to answer that. Unfortunately, it's not a question with only one answer. The prior offsite levy bylaw applied writ large. Every development in town, you all get the exact same number. In every case, the number has gone up. But it varies quite a bit because what we've chosen to do here is to apply additional levies to properties who only benefit from that piece of infrastructure. So instead of saying every development needs to help out building that pipe for the furthest corner of town, now the development at that furthest corner is largely responsible, or in some cases solely, because they're the sole beneficiaries. So it is higher in every case. I don't have a percentage number off the top of my head, but it's the degree to which it's higher does vary.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
It does, yeah. And I just have one last question for you. And maybe it's an obvious answer, I don't know, but I just want some comfort, a level of comfort here on, do we feel, based on our development and how many years we're out from some of it, that we're collecting enough to pay for the infrastructure that we need when we get there?
With anything like this, we are projecting into the future, which is difficult. As things stand right now with this bylaw, the values that we've assigned to these projects, as well as giving them an interest rate, I think that's about as secure as we can be in taking in these monies. I would suggest one further thing, and just so that it's not a surprise, so that it's in everybody's mind. When the next round of an offsite levy update comes, I expect that number to go up. It might go up significantly. And I bring that up because even as MPE, we are currently doing work for the town, the most significant of which is the sanitary lagoons. I cannot put a price to that yet and include it in this document, but by the time that this document is updated, that project will be there and those levies will go up, because that is not going to be, well, I hope very much that it's a simple solution, but if it isn't, then we need to be including that as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm just curious, like, Councillor Knight ready that passage where we renew it, but the wording was may renew it, but it's recommended that we renew it every three years. Should our wording be more firm than that? Like as in we will or shall?
And there's no.
Meryl, if you would
surprises.
like to speak to that first.
I believe you're referring to review of levy rates in section 16 of the bylaw. We did put shall review in there every 3 years. So the municipality shall review the calculation of the offsite levies once every 3 years, with the first review commencing in 2026.
Okay.
So it will be done every 3 years.
Okay. So I'm comfortable with that then. Because I don't want any loosey-goosey words in there where.
Yep.
If it's not this council, another council goes, oh, we don't have to do that. We'll just wait. And I
Yeah.
don't think that's the best benefit to the town.
So administration would work with MPE to review the current rates and construction costs at that time.
Go ahead, Sue.
I think the bonus with this bylaw is that the body of the bylaw will stay very similar to what it currently is. It's been all updated. It meets all the legislative requirements. The only thing that will be amended from time to time will be the rates. And so that way you don't have to repeal the bylaw. You
Yeah.
just have to make the amendments to the rates.
Mm.
So it'll keep it consistent and there'll be continuity.
Excellent. All right, any further questions? Okay, if not, can I get a motion that the offsite levy bylaw 2023 be given first reading?
The chair,
Go ahead, Councillor Knight.
I motion that the offset levy bylaw 2023 be given first reading.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And can I get a second motion that the two open houses be held on March 16th and March 23rd?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion that the two open houses be held on March 16th and March 23rd for public consultation as outlined within the Municipal Government Act.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item 7.1, bulk water rate update report. Lindsay, you're up.
Good evening, Council. Administration is bringing forward additional information as requested by Council at the February 7th Council meeting. Just to clarify, Taka North does not receive their water directly from the town of Crossville, but rather directly from the Mountain View Regional Water Service Commission. The wastewater department must ensure that there is a minimum of at least 66% of water storage volume that is always maintained in our water reservoir for fire. The Water Commission has 3 rates for their users. The 2023 rates are as follows. Members of the commissions are charged a rate of $1.97 per cubic meter. So that is anybody that is a member along the line, Town of Crossfield, Carstairs, Didsbury, etc. Direct customers of the Water Commission, such as Mountain View County, Bowden, Taka North, are charged a rate of $2.44 per cubic meter. And other private residence farm connections are charged at a rate of $3.35 per cubic meter. As outlined within the Water Commission's 2022 business plan, a bulk water station is the responsibility of individual members, and each member is free to set whatever conditions and rates for use of the commission or the bulk water station. I've also included a bulk water expense and profit chart as requested. The options, we're only recommending one option, that one flat rate for all users for the bulk water station, and administration is recommending a rate of $4.50 per cubic meter, or as a rate as set out by council, should you choose not choose the $4.50. Offering different rates based on uses is discouraged as it would increase administrative time when processing monthly invoices, as the rates would need to be updated every billing cycle depending upon what their usage is for cubic meters. So yeah, administration is recommending that the bulk water rates for all users be charged at the same rate of $4.50 per cubic meter, with increases as needed per the Mountain View Regional Water Services Commission, and that administration bring forward an updated fees and rates bylaw to the next council meeting reflecting the rate changes for council's consideration.
Thanks, Lindsay. Questions for Lindsay?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Knight.
Oh, Lindsay, what was the rate that we charged in 2021? Because there's similar usage in 2021 to 2022, and it's $50,000 difference in revenue. Did we increase that rate in 2021?
Give me 2 seconds. I think I have that.
Or is that
here.
2022, to be honest?
It changed. We get increases, I think, in about April. So these rates are kind of set at the higher. Sorry, I thought I had it here.
Mike, are you looking at the expense and profit?
Total revenue, that's all.
Yeah, that's.
I know how much it went up from the water commission in that 7.5 to 9 cents. It's just more than that when I do the $50,000. I was just curious if we changed the rate at all.
Lindsay, wasn't the rate the same? It was that we had additional large water users in 2022. That was the
Yeah.
reason for the significant increase. We had 2 other huge water users that were.
In
Only seven.
December.
There's only 700 more cubic meters used. There's only a question. Okay, this is all good. I guess the question would be if I like the fact that it's non-rural, all that stuff. When you go back to the point of the 66%, what can we sustain for a maximum? Do we have a number behind that? Because it talks about we need to make sure we have at least 66% of the water storage volume. Is there a factor in how many liters a day can go to the bulk water to meet that?
No, I don't think so, because every day is different. It depends upon new houses coming online. It depends upon if there's any big bulk water users, any of the industrial areas pulling more water out of the reservoir as well. So it fluctuates daily.
But so that wasn't a deciding factor in what we're doing with bulk water. That's just an overall comment then.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. In terms of what we charge out here, was there any consideration into a maximum volume from if we have 4 or 5 major companies that are pulling out, 2,000 cubic meters per month, was there a consideration into reducing that by 25 cents or anything like that considered by administration just based on the the additional volume that some of these groups that we have between the 4 or 5 big companies?
No, again, because of the way the system is set up, any adjustments to the rate would have to be done every billing cycle. So because everybody's not guaranteed to use a flat rate of
Yep.
X amount of cubic meters. So we're trying to do it, I guess, administratively easy for us as well, but it's also the same across the board.
Yeah, that's good for now.
Any other questions for Lindsay? Okay. Any further discussion?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
The only other further discussion I'd possibly say is if we do compare ourselves to other areas, Airdrie is $6 per cubic meter for bulk water too. So I think the rate that we are in here is fairly realistic. The only thing I might add to that is we have a 6% increase on here now. A 6% increase if the water commission's at $2, for example, versus at $4.50 is probably a different. Should we possibly look at that in terms of a closer gap on that? Because if we keep on a 6% gap interest, it'll make that number quite a bit higher.
The 6% for 2024 was based off what the Water Commission's rate was going up for.
Yeah, but 6% on $2 and 6% on $4.50s of vastly different number.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, and that's a really, really good point. What if we didn't incorporate the 6% surcharge on what we're charging for bulk water across the board? So it's just absorbed into the rate. So we have it on what we're paying, 6%, we increase that from to whatever, let's say it's $1.95 to $2.05.
Mhm.
But for bulk water, if we say it's $4.55 or $4, we don't include the 6% surcharge on top of that, we just build it in. So it cuts into our profit margin, but it's still a fair return.
I love that idea.
To the chair.
Yeah.
And that would make us to the point where we would review that when we start getting closer to
Correct.
the charges from the water commission inching up to that $4.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just a general question through the chair.
Mhm.
So that means all of our bulk water customers would now be charged the same flat rate regardless who they are?
Correct. Yeah.
If there's no further discussion, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion, but we'll have to change that with the addition of that's 6% absorbed into the price, or so.
Take the increase out.
Okay. I move that council amend the bulk water rates for all uses to the same rate of $4.50 per cubic meter with the addition of a 6% increase. No,
Without,
No, without,
without the addition of the 6% increase as needed per the Mountain View Regional Water Services Commission, and that the administration bring forward an updated fees and rates bylaw to the next council meeting reflected the bulk water rate change.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay. Item 8, mayor and council business. I attended the Rutabaga Bowl and the kids beat me again. A big surprise. It was a ton of fun. The market was excellent. I don't know if you all had a chance to go there, but it was fantastic. Lots of vendors, lots of people. The Rutabaga Bowl this year probably had more people bowling in it than last year, which was the first year. And just as a note, it was Nicole's kid that beat me.
All right, town.
I think it was her youngest, actually. I went to a couple of events this past week, Politics and Pints, where I met Emily Angela Pitt. I know she's not our MLA, but I think that counts. And I met the Minister for Social Services, Mickey, great guy. I think he's doing some good stuff. So it was nice to had about a 30-minute conversation with him. So that was really good. I also went to Politics in Prosecco, met the Premier and Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rebecca Schultz. It was pretty busy, so I didn't get a chance to chat with them a whole lot, but did get a promise for a meeting in the near future, most likely after the election. So we'll see what that looks like. And we also met with the Minister of Transportation today. And we talked to him about, with me, Sue and Merrill, about the speed limit reduction needed in Highway 574 along limit from Harrison to the end of the construction area. So they are taking that back for consideration to possibly do a study. The difference for them, I think this time was when we get the addition of that school, it would make sense that it dropped down to 30. So they're going to give it some consideration, which we really appreciated. We also talked to him about the Highway 574 along limit, the street lighting from Harrison and west again. And they are going to come back to us within a month with results from a study to see how they can potentially help us out on that. So good job there. We talked to them about Volker Steven and the clearing of Highway 2A and Highway 2. And really our disappointment in the attention that those highways have been paid in recent years when we have those big snow events, and how many deaths we've had there along that stretch. And we were hoping that they could hold their contractors accountable. We learned something new today, which was the differences between contracts. Because I had brought up, Calgary, as soon as you hit Calgary, and Carfax does that one, it is clear. Like there's a huge difference between our area and that area. So there's a difference between contracts. And so the contract for Carfax for the Calgary interchange there, they, in the contract, their level of service is higher where they have to start clearing it right away. As soon as it starts snowing, they're out there doing the job. Whereas here in the rural areas, all the rural areas, we don't have that same level of service. Whereas they wait until it almost stops snowing until they start removing the snow. And so my request was, can we have a look at those contracts, and can't the rurals get the same level as what we have in the cities? So they're going to have a look at that. They did say that they have put more money into the budget for the maintenance of the roads, so that if some of these areas are having trouble clearing it right away and getting that done, there is some money in the budget to provide extra resources for it. But we'll see. They'll get back to us and they're going to give us some answers, and we'll see what that looks like. And then finally, we talked about fire service and provincial rates. For example, should the town of Crossfield Fire Department respond to a call on an Alberta highway, the department is paid 1 hour for up to 1 hour. And then by the quarter hour after that, if they are stood down en route, they only get 1 hour. So the essence of the conversation was that if our fire department responds and they don't meet their criteria really for billing, then we don't get paid for that call. So if information is missed from the dispatch, like the address, or if they go out to an incident and they can't get a license plate number or a police file number, our fire department doesn't get paid. So we asked for a review on that, and they will also get back to us on that. And I thought Minister Dreeshen was pretty open to the conversation, and they wanted to, I think, get back to us in a timely fashion. So we'll see what those answers bring. And I think when staff has some of those answers, I think they'll be able to bring it back to all of council to let us know what that looks like. Did I miss anything? Thanks to you guys, it's great notes. That's why.
It was a good meeting.
It was a good meeting, and we didn't even use up our whole 45 minutes.
No.
It was kind of just got to the point.
Good.
Yeah, so that was good. We're getting CEO applications in, which is great. And I continue to have my meetings every second Thursday with Sue, Deputy Mayor. On to you.
Nothing to report.
Hey, Councillor Brennan.
Nothing to report, just glad to be back.
Hey, Councillor Gustafson.
Just a quick update, thanks, Mayor, on the Rocky View Foundation. We're getting closer and closer to some residents moving into the Airdrie Abrio Health Lodge there. So I'll keep everybody up to date on that. We're getting some possible funding through the government, but I'll keep everybody up to date, and we'll be able to tell you by the next meeting where we're at with that. And so again, July, the residents should be moving in. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Knight.
Nothing further to report.
Counselor Fox.
So you kind of bypassed me. I have nothing to report. I will at the next.
And that's
meeting.
why I went right by you.
Thank you.
Counselor Bang.
I have nothing to report as well.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept as presented?
Through the chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make the motion to accept our reports as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Administrative updates, 9.1 CAO update.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. That would be me, and I have a few things to say. Before I get into some of the handouts that you got in your package, just wanted you to know that Russ and I are meeting tomorrow with Mandy from the Lodge and Trevor from the Manor to talk about levels of service and policies and procedures that they have at those two locations. We'll be bringing back a report to council as soon as we've been able to compile it. 9.1.1 HR 17 employee service recognition. Council had some suggestions. There was no issues with the policy as it was written, but there was some discussion around the values. In your new policy, you'll see the revisions. I hope those are acceptable. If they are, I will need a motion from council on this individually to accept this new policy as received as information.
Okay, any question about the new policy and the numbers that are presented? Okay, if there's no questions or further discussion, can I get a motion?
Through the chair. I'll make the motion that HR policy 17, employee services recognition policy be accepted as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? That'd be me, but it's still carried.
The second one, 9.1.2 is a verbal, in discussions with our new auditors and in the work that they're doing and the deeper dive that they're doing. They'll be here the last 2 weeks in March, at which time they'll be concluded the gathering of information. During our discussions, Amber and I met with them. They did ask for us to put a request into municipal affairs for an extension to the submission date of the audit if we need it, based on what's uncovered through the rest of the discovery. So that letter has gone. But again, I reiterate, it's only if needed. So we're hoping to make the May 1st deadline date. I don't like to go past deadlines, but we want to do it right this time. And so I didn't think council would have any objections to that. So that's just for your information.
And Sue, just on an update for the rest of council too, on the audit. You had mentioned it's going to be a little bumpy.
I'm hoping it's a little bumpy.
Yeah, little
Okay.
bumpy.
That every indication is going to be that there are going to be some surprises,
Mhm.
but that's nothing that we didn't expect. I'm hoping the pain threshold will be minimum.
Little Band-Aid this time.
But we won't know that till we see the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're on a good path to fix it now.
Yeah.
And not continue down the same path.
Correct.
So that's good.
Okay, and then the last one I have, which is kind of good news, and I can't remember if I gave you the copy where I wrote all my notes all over it. I hope I did. But it's with respect to the provincial budget that was just recently brought out, and it had to do with the grants that municipalities get, specifically MSI. And just so that you're all aware, our MSI capital will be, I think I wrote this down right, 421,164. And our operational capital has increased approximately, I think it was 12%. So in 2022, it was 38,599. In 2023, it'll be 77,198. And that's really been helpful in previous years with computer upgrades and some other things that I think we used it for water. Was it water, Lindsay?
The operating we use for the transfer site.
The transfer site. So the money always comes in handy. The other one was the community community, I gotta find it on this page. Oh, the Canada Community Building Fund, which is a capital program. In 2022, we received $202,370. In 2023, we're getting an increase of about 9,000. It's going up to 211,406. It saw an overall increase of 11.1 million to Alberta, which isn't really that significant, but every little bit helps as we move forward. So in total, MSI and the Canadian Community Building Fund in 2023, our total amount for all of it will be $709,768 in our coffers, which is nice to have that increase. So like I said, every little bit helps. The other thing I wanted to mention was there was some information released, and I've just included it in your package with the focus on the now, not the future. Alberta municipalities did a media release. It's important to read that because their voice is our voice. And I've also included some information from the minister, Rebecca Schultz, on what that looks like and specifically what things are going to look like in 2024 when all those grants are combined into the local government fiscal framework, which is the acronym is LGFF. I think the jury for me is still out on this one because we have not seen any formula yet that they're going to be doing it on. There's always a concern for me when we're looking at urban centers versus rural communities and the differences in terms of comparing roads to that's their infrastructure, our infrastructure is everything else. So we'll have to see what she comes up with for a formula because ARMA and AM Munis could not agree on a formula. So we'll just have to wait to see what happens. But there are changes, significant changes coming for next year, but they have made a commitment to long-term sustainable funding. I think the key for me, and I was talking to the mayor about this last week, was that I think sometimes what the provincial government forgets is that 60% of all the infrastructure in the province of Alberta is in urban centers. And so if we were getting 60% of the funding, that make me smile a little bit more, but we don't. We get like 1%. So I think that's something that this council and all smaller municipal councils need to give some serious consideration to and lobby really hard before the formula is implemented, because otherwise we're not gonna, we have a lot of infrastructure that needs to be upgraded. I'm just saying, and we don't have the dollars to do it. So this is where council needs to have those loud coaching voices.
We really do.
Yeah,
Go
through the
ahead.
chair, can I ask you a question? When are we scheduled for our next intermunicipal meeting?
Not until next December,
Okay.
and that will be hosted by Didsbury.
Okay.
So back to the LGFF, I think that under the current model that Alberta Immunities has put forward, we're still not getting, I think it's 37% less than what we got before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even under that model, we're not getting the amount that we even received before. So there's still lots of downloading onto municipalities. And that's what we have to lobby for.
Well, and I think a really good example, not to speak out of turn there.
No, go
is,
ahead.
the lighting on Highway 597.
Yep.
574 limit. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty big hit. We're talking $200,000. That's the Ministry of Transportation's responsibility. And although they did try and shift that responsibility to us again today, you know, we've got Fortis on board as a partner that's going to pay for part of that project. And the Ministry of Transportation has got to stop saying they have no money. We've just heard a month ago in the budget that we're right with cash. So I'd like to see some of that money come to our municipality for some of the things that as a municipality, we should not be paying for.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say too, even on that note, if we don't hear back from them in a proper amount of time, let's send them off another note. Happy to sign it. Okay.
Just something to keep your eyes on. This money thing is going to be really important. And with the election only a few months away, now's the time to lobby.
Yep, it really is.
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Okay, item 9.2, Department Director updates. Director of Operations, Merrill.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. I'm just going to touch on a few points in my submitted report. The first one being under the Operations Department. So currently, as council knows, we have a contractor in place for snow removal. Of course, our staff continue to participate in snow removal, however, without the grader. The grader is currently with the mechanics, RJ Services, and parts have been ordered. I believe they arrived this week. The parts that have been ordered were for the engine to be rebuilt. Costs for the repair are estimated at this time at roughly $50,000. This does not include the previous work completed by Finning Field staff. The invoicing received was for $15,000. So our 2023 budget allocated $75,000 for heavy equipment repairs. With these repair costs, we're nearing our 2023 allocation. The grader repair is 2 weeks out, but I believe we can cut that down to 1 week. Under the Water Wastewater Department, I wanted to update council on a program that requires updating. So a SCADA, a supervisory control and data acquisition system, is a combination of hardware and software that enables the automation of industrial processes by capturing real-time operational data for wastewater lift stations, potable water distribution stations, stormwater retention ponds, and wastewater lagoon aeration systems. SCADA systems allow municipalities to control industrial processes locally or at remote locations, monitor, gather, and process real-time data, directly interact with devices such as sensors, valves, pumps, motors, and more through human-machine interface, HMI software, record events into log files, and create reports for provincial legislation requirements. While operations are attempting to connect the existing SCADA system for a wastewater lagoon aeration addition, we've run into difficulties relating to outdated hardware and software. MPE Engineering has reviewed our current system and has highly recommended to upgrade our current SCADA hardware and software systems, as there is no longer support for the current configuration. The SCADA system was implemented in 2013 and they have been in service for 10 years. The time frame is beyond the typical life expectancy of 5 years for continuous use of computers. The current operating system, Microsoft Server 2008 R2, has not been supported since January 2020. It is recommended that both hardware and software be replaced soon to avoid untimely and lengthy periods where their functions are not available. New SCADA hardware will come with the latest operating systems because there may be compatibility issues between the latest operating system and the current application software. It is recommended to upgrade the application software along with the hardware to avoid any compatibility issues. MPE's proposal letter is attached for council's information. And lastly, a SCADA system upgrade is critical as the current SCADA system is outdated and not guaranteed to continue to function. In the event the SCADA system stops working, the town of Crossfield would lose all data collection, which will have a negative impact on legislated reporting requirements with Alberta Environment and Protected Areas, potential equipment damage, and human safety hazards due to lack of continual operating monitoring. Cost summary for the recommended updated SCADA program, BT SCADA, is $97,500. This includes equipment, vendor licensing, server upgrade, developer labor, and 1 year license fee. Annual licensing fees are approximately $3,150. Following the 2022 audit, staff will bring back an amended capital budget project list itemizing this update and replacement of the SCADA system as a priority project for council's consideration. And I do have both the operations foreman, Murray Pollock, and the water wastewater foreman, Joe Holstein here. Should you have any questions?
Thank you, Merrill.
You're welcome.
Questions for any of our staff that are here tonight?
Through the chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Knight.
Probably more for Joe than anything. Have we been seeing technical problems about this, or are we just trying to get ahead of this before we're in a situation where we had some problems recently?
And yeah, recently, just after I got back from holidays, thing did come up where our PLC crashed. And yeah, so it's kind of starting. We what got MP in, we were having interruptions in our scatter reporting system, like it's supposed to be solid take every second. So every 30 seconds, it would, cut out for a couple of seconds. So that was kind of the first flag. There's theories that with it grabbing an empty thing off the PLC, like the PLC is looking for that information, wasn't there. And it's quite possible that's what caused our PLC to crash. That system has been restored. As of today, our SCADA is solid, but we do want to definitely look on an upgrade before any more issues arise.
One more. Meryl, do we have any idea how much is this gonna reprioritize our capital costs? Do you have any rough ideas?
It's going to significantly adjust our priorities for capital projects for our departments.
But we don't forecast requiring anything else. We think we can make this happen through the capital funding that we budgeted for.
One of the projects may have to fall off to cover this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
Through the chair, I have a question for Murray. I guess I'll direct this to you. So this is under the greater mechanical issues. So I just have a question on timeline. So we just paid 15 grand to Finning for repairs. Now it's back into the shop again for an estimated 50 grand. What was the timeline in between those? And a second question, I guess, for that. Is there not a way that we could have a tech come to us to do some of the repairs versus taking it to the shop and paying shop time?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and councilors. When the problem first arose, we noticed that there was an increase in the amount of antifreeze that we were going through. The guys are very diligent on checking everything every day. We weren't sure what the problem was, so we did call the field techs, and they came out and they do a process where they have to do certain things in a certain order. Whether we agree with it or not. The first thing they checked was the oil cooler. They felt that was probably the problem that was happening. So they checked the oil cooler. This was and because of timelines for them, this was done on a Saturday. So they did the oil cooler and found out that it was solid. And they just felt that everything was going to be okay. They put it back into service. On the Monday, we took it back out and immediately had another problem, the same problem. So they came back the following Saturday and did the, I've lost my train of thought here. What was the next thing?
The oil thing and then
the water pump. Thank you. They did find a failure in the water pump. So they replaced the water pump and put it back into service. Then following Monday, we put it back out again and immediately had the same issues. What happened next was I have a contact that's assigned to the town who I was dealing with to get the techs out. He was going on holidays. He was supposed to pass off the information to the next coordinator. I phoned the coordinator and told him what was going on. I never heard back. So we then phoned Ron over at RJ's and they've agreed to do it. So they went in and did the diagnostics on that and found that we have to rebuild the motor, which we were anticipating might have been the original problem, but not being mechanics, we didn't have anything. So that's where that's gone. So yeah, the timelines and the money spent on the initial fixes is just field costs. So we didn't have any choice on.
Sorry. So is there any way that you could recoup some of the costs from Finning for misdiagnosis or anything?
I don't believe so. The first time was come out, so they have to take everything off in order to check, because what they do is they take that oil cooler off. They test it. They also take the oil and test it. So they send it away to be tested. And then when they find that the oil cooler is fit, they bring it, put it back on and move on to the next step. So then when they did the next step with the water pump, they found that it was leaking. And so we did have to replace that. So as far as recouping any of those costs, I'm not sure what the process would be, but I don't think that we would be probably in line to recoup any of those costs. Because those costs, that it's their process in order to get to the problem. So I would assume that that's, even if we'd have taken it to RJ's, they probably would have done the same processes.
Same steps. Okay. All right, I'm just.
And I
going-
apologize, I'm
going
looking
out,
at
just
it, so
looking at it.
I use layman's terms.
That's okay. Yeah, that was my question. I'm just, I just don't want to see it again. If it's in, we spend basically your whole 2023 budget and then it crashes again. Yeah, so.
I'm very aware of the
Yes,
numbers.
you have the
Yeah.
same, okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Sue.
I think one of the things I just want to let council know as we're dealing with this issue is we will be spending some time in the not too distant future looking at and because of the age of our fleet, looking at leasing versus purchasing. And then with leasing, there's always a replacement machine that comes out when they go down. We can't have our grader down for
No,
a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time. It's costing too much money.
no. So have we, sorry, Mayor, through the chair again, another question. Have we looked at the difference in what the cost would be on if we just contract it? Or versus owning our own equipment? Like would it be worth it for us to just contract it out when we get a big dump of snow or?
That's something that we can definitely look at. I think, and when you're looking at contracting, especially for snow removal,
Mm,
you're paying at least $1,000 a day minimum,
Okay,
and that's to start. So we'd have to, and it's always a crapshoot because you don't
I
know how
know.
much snow you're gonna have,
and where you are on the list,
right?
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Okay.
It
and
doesn't only snow in one spot.
Yeah.
And I would say on that note too, like, what is the level of service we want for our residents?
Mhm.
Is having the snow removed, taking 5 weeks to do it or more, reasonable to do the whole town? Or do we want, and before the next snow dump? I mean, we're on our third one and the entire town obviously hasn't been done. Only some of the main arteries have been done and maybe a couple of side roads. So, I mean, we can do that for so long, but when you compound that with residents shoveling all their snow and blowing the snow onto the roads,
Yeah.
now you're seeing on some of the streets, and in no word of a lie, like 1.5 to 2 foot difference between the driveway and the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a combination of things. So what is that level of service that this council and administration want? And can we look at, if we do contract it out, would it only take them, the right contractor, not the current one, but the right contractor 3 days to do it? Or within that 1 week period to do that one snow dump? And what would the cost be? I think it would be a good idea to look at all of that kind of at the same time to weigh the options.
I think the beauty is, if you want, when you're talking levels of service, and that's so important, is that, for some of these snow dumps, if you had lots of equipment, you contracting it out and they were out and they were doing it 24/7
Yeah.
around the clock and had it done in 3 days, you're laughing, but
Yeah.
the costs escalate.
It
big
does.
time.
Yeah.
And again, it's very dependent on the weather.
Anyway,
Right
just-
now, we're using a combination when we have our equipment working.
Yeah.
If we have a big snow dump, Murray can call a contractor and say, okay, we need some help here.
Mhm.
but it still takes us weeks to do
Yeah.
one town.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of equipment though either.
That's
No.
right. And that's what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
what's gonna be better?
Yeah.
And I understand that some of this equipment we're gonna use on all seasons. But again, what do we want?
Some
Okay.
to explore for sure.
Yeah, just to explore. Yeah,
I'm not done yet.
go ahead.
Sorry. So I'm noticing as the snow removal is being done, it's all being taken back to the south end. Is there nowhere on the north or somewhere on the north end of town that we could dump snow versus you guys going all the way across town when we've only essentially got 1.5 trucks that are moving it?
Currently, no.
Yeah.
All the adjacent lands are owned by developers,
Yeah.
and they're all being worked right
Being
now.
developed. And I
So-
understand there's contaminants in the snow, so you have to watch where you dump it. Yeah.
It takes
Gonna
us,
save you guys time so you can get your job done faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
currently, it takes us about 1.5 minutes to load our big truck
Mhm.
with the snow blower.
Yeah.
And it's about 12 to 15 minutes before he gets back.
Mhm.
So there is a discrepancy. If as we build our fleet and have an extra larger truck, you know, that those timeframes are getting smaller. But I agree. The downtime that we have between loads is frustrating for me.
Yeah, because you have one off dumping while you're loading and then they're just
Right.
doing the circle. Yeah,
Yeah.
but budget, money.
After our first snowfall, we did contract another truck,
Mhm.
a big dump truck. And that is extremely helpful because currently right now we just have our big truck and our 1 ton.
Mhm.
The 1 ton, doesn't take very much snow, unfortunately, but it's what we have. So, so we're using that. So we're certainly not as efficient if we had more equipment, but there's
budget
just no
isn't
budget for
there.
more equipment either. So.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess
I'm
we
good.
all will have some decisions to make at budget time.
Yeah.
Through the chair, one more thing.
Go ahead.
Just one comment, Marie. That snow blower costs us quite a dollary rate to sit there parked. So I think if we factored out the amount of time that's costing us for that piece of equipment at that rate to sit parked, I think we're way further ahead having more trucks around. And I think that would help. I think the whole thing would speed back up because I drive around and that thing sits for 15 to 18 minutes. If we had 2 more trucks, I think the time in that blower and everything also works out too. So I think there's maybe other ways we can creatively get contractors in without having to contract the whole thing out.
Yeah.
So to just to expound on that, if I may, one of the issues that we have 1 grader. So the last couple of snowfalls we've had have been large.
Yeah.
So it's taken the grader an extra little bit of time. So we get the grader out at 7 o'clock in the morning and he's going. We're actually not able to start moving snow until about 9 o'clock because it takes him that long to get the windrows set so that we can move. Once we start moving, if we have 2 large trucks, we're catching up to him by noon. So we have to be careful. And I would love to see us having 2 more big trucks, but we have to be careful that we don't overrun the grader either, because and I can attest to it. It's actually quite stressful operating the grader in town. So you don't want to put too much pressure on that operator either. So 1 more truck makes a world of difference. 2 more trucks is awesome if we can get ahead of it enough. So it's just kind of a little bit of a catch-22. But I agree with you for sure.
Yeah, and I think it would be stressful because I think part of the issue is people still aren't moving their cars,
Yes.
even though we have the signs out. And I don't know how many we've towed this year. Does anybody know that? Have we towed anybody?
We have towed a few, that
Yeah.
I do know. I just can't tell you the number.
Yeah, and you know, between that and the people, we have bylaws, but we don't seem to be enforcing them as much as maybe we should. I'm just curious, you know, for people shoveling their snow out and for the towing of the vehicles, or even a friendly knock the first time, but the next time your car is parked there, just tow it. Like, we need to be doing some of these things to help these guys out. Go ahead, Marie.
With regards to that, I will say that we got the peace officer involved through the last snow, and he was very, very helpful. And he was just making phone calls to vehicle owners and saying, you know, come out, move your vehicles. I'm not sure why us driving down the road and signing it didn't have that same effect, but him calling people has certainly helped. And it takes an enormous amount of pressure off of us when we're moving that snow, when we have clear pathways to do it. Because to get a truck and the snow blower between 2 vehicles is challenging.
On some of our roads, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is we have to look outside the box in terms of in some of these events, we can't be in operation from 7 to 4 or 7 to 5. We need to bring our grader operator in, say at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and give them a head start. Right? Because we do have 2 people that can operate the grader.
Yeah.
So we have to think outside the box that way to make sure that those kinds of things happen. It's not it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, then we need to make sure our staff are ready to go.
Yeah, because then the arteries could at least be done before everyone starts moving.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor.
But again, that is still, you're still at the whim of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meryl, go ahead.
Yeah, just going back to the time start that you're suggesting, early morning hours at 3 a.m. We do have to be very aware of our noise bylaw because it's between the hours of 7 and 11 p.m.
There's an exception to that if you ask the CAO.
No,
Is there not? Do we not have that here?
Yeah, we do.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it really
I
comes
haven't
down,
exercised that yet, but.
right, and it really comes down to what do residents want more? Do they want clear streets? Or can they live with the noise on their street for a few hours?
Well, it's not like the grader makes that much. noise.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any further questions for Meryl and team?
Great report.
Okay. I tapped my quota out for the day. All right, so Russ, it looks like you're up.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. I too will just touch on a few items within my report. The first one is we received confirmation from the federal government that our application for the New Horizon for Seniors grant has been approved for $25,000. This grant was submitted as a partnership with the Golden Key Club to provide programming for local seniors, and it's titled Healthy Lifestyles for Healthy Aging. So excited about that. We also submitted a grant application to the Green and Inclusive Community Buildings program. The total application, or the project total, sorry, is $119,813.90 with an ask that covers 80% of that of $95,851.12. And it's for retrofits to the arena for replacement of furnaces, updating some more LED lighting, and replacing the 2 sets of doors at the main entrance with handicap door operators to increase accessibility. So we'll see how that comes along. With recreation, a day camp board, a new board has been formed. So we're slowly transitioning information to the new board. We're still helping complete grant reporting for them from last year. ARIS will be attending their board meetings for a while to ensure they have sufficient knowledge of the workings of day camp and assist them with administrative items. And then lastly, with the arena, the ice plant replacement project is getting underway. We have awarded the project to Simco Refrigeration. We did meet with Simco on March 2nd, along with our engineers, to clarify engineering responsibilities and get started on structural requirements to open up the outside wall, which they're going to do a little bit more work, but it actually looks like that opening up that wall is going to be a lot easier than what we first suspected. So it's not a load bearing. They don't think it's a load bearing wall, which would be a huge bonus. So yeah, that project is underway. We've met with minor hockey to confirm processes around payment of invoices and get all that. And I did get confirmation that they've received the funds in their bank account. So that's all ready to go. And that's about it.
Just curious on the arena one for the ice plant replacement. So the town is the lead on the project itself,
Yes.
but the minor hockey will pay all the invoices.
Yeah.
And that way we don't need that funding agreement between the two parties.
No, we still need a third party agreement between two parties. Yeah. So how we're going to work it is we're actually going to, because we're also receiving funds from Rocky View County.
That's right.
So we're the project managers. We're coordinating everything. The invoices will come to the town will pay them, and then we will invoice back to minor hockey as well as to Rocky View County for 50% of each invoice to minor hockey and 25% of each invoice to Rocky View County.
Okay. Excellent. Just curious on the FCSS, there was an announcement that there's more FCSS funding coming to municipalities. Do we know how much Crossfield might be getting?
We haven't gotten any official letter yet, and we haven't gotten an amount,
Okay,
but it's welcome.
it is welcome. Yes. Yeah, that's great. Okay, thanks Russ for your update. Always good to hear that you guys are on top of those grants. I don't think we could do a lot of the stuff that we do in town without them.
Mhm.
For sure.
Questions for Russ? Russ and no team with him, just Russ. Yeah. All right, you're good. Thanks, Russ. All right, Lindsay, Director of Corporate Services, you're
I'm up.
up.
I have a really short report. There was 53 48-hour shut-off notices that were delivered in February, and payment was made in full for all 53 accounts, so that's good. The 2023 assessment file has been received from the municipal assessor. The 2023 tax bylaw will be brought forward in April, which will be the one where we set the mill rates. And 2 of the 10 tax accounts included in the preliminary 2022 tax recovery list have made the required payment to be removed from the list. And the Amber is just wrapping up year end and dealing with accounts for the field work. And they will, as Sue had mentioned, they will be here the last 2 weeks of March. And that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions for Lindsay?
Nope.
Unreport related really, but I'm just curious, like year over year, are we getting more people on the TIPS program?
Yes. Now that we've changed the process in the past, we only allowed people to join like between January and March, but we've now since changed that where they can join anytime through the year, which helps out a lot too, especially with new people moving in. They don't have to wait till that January timeline.
Excellent. Good
Yeah.
decision.
Easier. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it.
Okay, perfect. So if there's no further questions for Lindsay, can I get a motion to accept as presented the director's reports?
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Councillor Vane.
I'll make the motion to accept the reports as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, correspondence. We have a 2023 new local business report. I did ask Sue to add this to our agenda. I think it's important that we know what kind of activities are happening with businesses and new businesses opening. So that's great. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. 10.2, we have an email from Alberta Health Services, Office of the Auditor General report for COVID-19 and continuing care. And 10.3, email from Alberta Health Services Official Administrator 90-day report. Any questions or conversation around those? If not, can I get a motion to accept the correspondence?
Good, Chair.
Go ahead.
A motion of the information or correspondence to file for information.
Thank you. And then just quickly, upcoming events, programs, parent and taught play group held every Tuesday for the next 6 weeks. The program will run from 10:30 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. at the Crossfield Municipal Library. And the Crossfield Curling Club is also doing an open house on Friday, March 24th from 5 to 9 at the Curling Club. They'll have a dinner and drinks and activities for the whole family and also a 50-50. They will have updates closer to the date about the menu and price. And that's something I think I would encourage council to try and attend, or at least drop by, say hi, and encourage the curling club a little bit. Okay.
Through the chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Gustafson.
I think we still need a vote on the motion on the floor there from Councillor Knight.
Which,
The
We-
correspondence.
the
Yeah.
correspondence?
Yeah, you made a motion there to accept. We didn't vote on it.
Oh, well, thank you. Let's vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
There we
Sorry.
are.
You
No,
know
it's
how
all,
I am.
I appreciate it. Excellent. So I guess we'll adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you. Favored. Don't have to.